how do we add clarity to our sound? Before I go too deep into it, I'm going to play a couple examples for you, and I want you to pay really close attention to these players' hands. Check it out. What did you notice? The first thing I notice is that their fingers are like so precise. Every single movement is perfectly calculated. And for the longest time, I couldn't figure out why that was. And I want to make this clear. What I'm going to talk about today is not the end-all be-all solution to how to play accurately. This is simply one of those things that you might want to be conscious of as a player. So check out the anatomy of your hand. I have a ring on right now. That might be distracting. If you look, you'll notice every single finger has 1, 2, 3 knuckles on them, right? So I want you to imagine each of these being a point of focus, and as you're playing, you know, your fingers are kind of like this. So your knuckles are stacked on top of each other, okay? And some of you, you know, when you were first starting playing piano and your teacher was talking about how to have good hand positioning, they might have had you lay your hand on your bench, and that ends up being a really good form for your fingers. The problem is that when you lay your hand on the bench, your fingers are totally relaxed. So when you put them on the keys, you play totally relaxed. Let me make this clear. You should be relaxed when you're playing, but I almost don't even like using the word relaxed, because relax has the danger of turning into laziness. You're supposed to be, I think poised is a better word when you're playing. You're kind of there, you know, but you're still focused. And the way that we get that focused sound is if you go back to this idea of your joints, or I'm sorry, your knuckles, or whatever they are. I'm not a doctor. If you go back to this idea of your knuckle joints being stacked, that's what I'm looking for. So just be aware when you're playing. You know, I used to have this knuckle here would just be so flimsy when I was playing the keys. It would just move all around. And you can't get a focused sound with that, especially when you're playing really fast scales. If you have such a lazy touch to your playing, the sound is just kind of muddled. Versus, it's brighter. Each of the notes can finally be heard. And there's another thing too that I want to bring up as well. Our natural position for the hand is to kind of have it splayed out like this. I want you to focus on your thumb. Can you bring your thumb in at kind of a 90-degree angle? Because if you look at how the hand is structured, these fingers have a lot in common because they're kind of the same. The thumb is the weird one. So how do we get the thumb to emulate what's going on with these fingers? That's this. This is the only one that has to move in a very different kind of motion, in a very different kind of motion than the other fingers. Because these are up and down. This has a tendency to want to move horizontally. So to add clarity to the thumb, can you curve it in and focus on building up this muscle, this kind of lifting? That's actually a good exercise. Can you lay your hand on the keys and just practice lifting your thumb? Because when you're doing runs, your thumb has a very big tendency to be the lazy one in the run. There's a couple lazy fingers. For me, it's pretty much always the thumb, and like finger 4, the transition between like these 3, it tends to be a big problem in my playing. So putting all this together, like let's take an example. I'm looking at the very last movement of Beethoven's Violin Sonata Number 7. I just played it on a recital. It was great. I had a good time with it. When you're playing these runs, let me just actually demonstrate it first. So here's just like the last 12 bars or something. It's a little shaky right now, but that's fine. That's not what we're focusing on right now. So this very last run, as I'm going through each of the fingers, I'm feeling every single one go all the way down to the wood. Can you feel like, not necessarily a pressure, because I don't want you squeezing anything, but can you feel the weight of your hand being brought down with each finger? I know that the camera's kind of on the wrong side, but my thumb is also curved in as well. Every single key is even. I don't want any, you know, any of that. Just try to get it as clean and as consistent as you can throughout the run. It's such a furious ending. I love it. Hopefully this makes some amount of sense. I'm happy to talk about this more. Please feel free to leave a comment if you have any more questions. Have a very good rest of your day, and if you enjoyed this video, please share it with other people who are maybe learning piano or enjoy music. Maybe I should end on like a Christmas thing.